Begin with Saudi Aramco, though, a strong public debut after raising a record $25.6 billion in the IPO. Shares jumped on the open, the maximum 10% on the stock exchange in Riyadh, limit up. As a result, the state-owned oil giant is the world's most valuable company listed at almost $1.9 trillion. That's about 6 Exxons and above Apple, which has a market cap of almost $1.2 trillion.
Well, a well-placed deal. Apparently, a lot of people in Saudi Arabia decided to buy the stock. And that boosted it. I think that they, sometimes you get these deals and they pretty much determine where it's going to be. So now the question is yield and whether the yield exceeds what Mike Wirth is offering on Chevron. And I think it will, but I don't think it necessarily makes people suddenly all excited about the oil stocks. But it does say that there's an appetite for equities, at least in one country.
That's definitely true. All those hand-wringing about ESG, right, and how that might weigh on demand has not turned out to be a story today.
No, and yet, let's talk about ESG for a second. There's a piece from Morgan Stanley. Comes out and says,
right?
Evaluate, Katie Newbury is very serious, evaluating our information technology hardware coverage through an ESG lens. Do you know that there are machines, actual software, dedicated to find out how many times you mention ESG in a conference call? And if it mentions a huge number, then the stock gets bought.
It is, listen, it comes up here in a way that a year ago, you could measure with us. No. 2 years ago, 5 years ago, we weren't mentioning it all.
Not at all.
It almost every day.
Yes.
But what is still awaited, I think, largely is an ability to compare across industries and even within industries, metrics that can be used to actually measure progress that companies are making on their sustainability goals. That doesn't exist. Think about a FASB, but for ESG. That's something along those lines.
And
that is, they are working on it. There are efforts being made for essentially what would be called SASB, sustainability, and actually then be able to look at and believe all the different numbers you're getting to measure this, because it's becoming such an important input for investors.
10 million people have accounts in Robinhood. And before they look at how the earnings are, they look at how the ESG scores are.
Yeah. And You've seen Times Person of the Year this morning, Greta Thunberg.
Right? Yes. Yeah, I was there when they picked her.
You were where?
Well, there was like this.
Oh, because Benioff phone.
It didn't really happen because it was, it's for background.
Right.
But what I thought was amazing was it was almost by
unanimous.
Yeah, unanimous. There was one guy who said Tim Cook.
Well, they do have Business Person of the Year. Ended up being Iger this year.
Well, I like that good book that he wrote.
Really good book.
Really good book.
Yeah, really good.
Should have retired before he wrote that book because it's very critical of certain people.
Book, though. Really well, nice.
Did he mention Viacom?
No, he didn't.
Right.
It just keeps going down. But back to oil for a second, and back to Chevron and Saudi. By the way, the Saudis, if you are an individual investor, you buy 10 shares, you hold it 6 months, you get it one additional
Do you really?
Yes, that's part.
Shoot, that's fantastic.
Not bad, right?
Yeah.
And of course, it was not sold around the world.
Goldman did that.
It was sold, largely in the Saudi market. It is up 10%. It is the most highly valued company in the world.
How'd that versus Uber in terms of like big IPOs?
What do you mean?
Well, one did better than the other.
Yeah.
Unicorn versus what? OPEC. Do you know that there were no financials to this company until recently? No financials.
On Aramco?
Yeah.
You mean prior to the S1?
Right.
Yes.
We didn't know whether they were doing well or badly. So how do we know how they do if oil goes down?
I know.
What do we say?
I don't know. Or if they get attacked again. I'm still amazed that attack happened when it's never responded to.
What are you, some sort of geopolitical?
Sorry, it's just fascinating to think about it. Can you imagine if one of our oil facilities was attacked in this country, what we would do?
Well, I think it would be different.
Yeah, it would be different. But that continues to be a concern for investors as well, but not within the country. And now they have an equity they can actually buy in Saudi Arabia. By the way, not dissimilar in some ways from Alibaba's listing in Hong Kong, where for the first time, really, the main customers of the service were able to buy the stock.
But it's funny. I initially thought, well, maybe they'll use this equity to be able to make some acquisitions. A lot of times people just tell me they're going to use it to be able to diversify away from oil.